Hello everyone, welcome to the PokerGO studio. This is the Big Blind. I'm Jeff Platt here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is time for the ultimate test of knowledge on all things poker, Vegas, and gambling related. We bring you quite the first round matchup. All of the ringers, we put them all into one matchup so the other contestants wouldn't be upset. One of the smartest batches of players you could possibly come up with collectively. They have an IQ higher than the GDP of most third world countries. I know that kind of comparison doesn't really line up, but you get my point. First up, he is a former professional poker player. He is a 6-time Jeopardy champion. He's also won the show's Tournament of Champions. It's Alex Jacob. Alex, welcome to another game show.
Thanks, Jeff. It's awesome to be here.
It is great to have you here. All right, so we mentioned Jeopardy. Of course, we have to mention Jeopardy James Holzhauer crushing this year. And now we bring in one of his good friends, one of the best poker players on the scene today, almost $7 million in lifetime earnings, 3-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner, Ben Yu. Ben, my friend, those are quite the glasses.
Thank you. I punted off the second half of the entire summer just to make sure I stay at 6.9 million in career earnings.
Well, we very much appreciate that, and maybe the Big Blind
Nice.
plus another couple tournaments will move you over that $7 million mark. Rounding out this group, our next contestant plays in some of the highest stakes cash games out there. You've seen him on Poker After Dark. He stars in the documentary Dead Money on PokerGO. He is also the founder of Solve for Why, a poker training academy for tournament and cash game strategy. Matt Berkey is here. Hello, Matt.
How's it going, Jeff? Thanks for having me.
Thank you all for joining us, for being here. So let's break down what is going on. Our 3 players today start with 10,000 in chips. We use a limit hold'em betting structure. Now, before our pre-flop action begins, players will see the hands category. They can base their betting on their confidence level in that category. Levels 1 and 2 consist of trivia questions in that topic. We'll have a question for the flop, the turn, and the river. Those questions get progressively more difficult. Once you send in your answers, we'll open up another betting round. So if you know the answer, fire off a bet or a raise. You don't know the answer, but you think a bluff might get through, fire off a bet or a raise. If 2 or more players remain in the hand after the turn, we will go to the river, which will always be set up as a tiebreaker question. Level 3 is against the house, where you'll get a chance to bet some or all of the chips that you have accumulated. More on that coming up later. This is a round 1 matchup. If you win today or finish in second, you're on to our quarterfinals. Make it all the way to the finals, and you are in the money. Win the finals, you take home $15,000. Second place, $10K, third place, $5K. So that means for today, we had to put something else on the line. And this, guys, this is valuable. This is how to become a game show contestant. Oh yeah, getting nice and tight on this lovely book here. So in case you want to get on a game show, which, I mean, you're already here, and Alex, you've already been on Jeopardy, so this book, I think, is fairly useless. Shout out, though, to Wendy at the Gamblers General Store. I'll be seeing you soon, Wendy, for a refund. All right, fellas, so here we go. It is level 1. The blinds are 100 and 200. That means you can bet 200 on the flop, 400 on the turn. Matt Berkey has the button. We wanted to see some action here, and we know Berkey will raise a very high percentage of his buttons 3-handed. Alex is in the small blind. Ben is in the big blind. Let's take a look at our first topic of the day. That topic is the Moneymaker effect, of course, surrounding the 2003 World Series of Poker main event champion, and incidentally, one of our big blind contestants, Chris Moneymaker. Matt, you are on the button. You lead off our betting. Raise, call, or fold.
I'd like to raise dark, please.
Yeah, I knew that Berkey would be raising that button. Alex, you're in the small blind.
Is that technically a raise start? I'll raise it. I'll raise it as well.
It is
I'll also raise it.
3-bet from Alex on to Ben Yu in the big blind. You can raise, call, or fold.
Trying to get me out, eh? I'll call.
Make the call. Berkey on the button.
Yeah, let's cap it.
We'll cap it. A 4-bet from Matt Berkey on the button. Back around to Alex. Just guessing you're going to call.
I'll call.
Something about pot odds, right, Ben Yu? I'm guessing you'll call as well.
I'll call.
We'll call as well. So a pretty big pot already developing. 2,400 in the middle. Let's take a look at our flop question. What was Chris Moneymaker's occupation when he won the 2003 World Series of Poker main event? Send in your answers, please. It certainly was not professional poker player. It certainly was not PokerStars ambassador. Answers, please.
This is some great music we got.
It was really dramatic, right? We love to build the drama here on the Big Blind. throughout the show. All right, our answers are in. That means we open up another betting round. Alex, since you're in the small blind, you are first to act. You can check or bet.
I'll bet.
You will lead out here. Ben?
I'll call.
Ben will make the call. Matt?
I'll raise.
Going to raise it up. The aggressiveness already showing from Matt Berkey. Back to Alex in the small blind.
I'll call.
We'll make the call. Ben?
Call.
Ben will make the call as well. First, let's see what the correct answer is. That answer is accountant. The accountant took down all the pros to win $2.5 million and, of course, encourage recreational players all over the country. Let's see who got this one right. We'll start with Alex. He said accountant. That is correct. We go to Ben. He said accountant. That is correct. We go to Matt. He said accountant. That is correct. Everybody gets it right. Everybody moves on to the turn with 3,600 chips in the middle. Let's take a look at that turn question. Who did Chris beat heads up to take home the bracelet in 2003? Answers, please. Of course, an epic heads-up battle that Moneymaker came out on top of. By the way, my Uber driver the other day was 5th place finisher at the 2003 main, Mr. Tomer Benvenisti. So I guess that settles the question on whether or not poker has gotten harder throughout the year. All right, our answers are in. That means, of course, we open up another betting round, and that betting round, once again, starts with Alex. Alex, you can check or bet 400.
I'll bet.
He will bet 400 over to Ben Yu.
Call.
Ben makes the call. Matt on the button.
This hand's gotten a little out of control. I'm going to call.
Just going to call. Just going to contain the size of this pot, which is already at 4,800. Let's see what the correct answer is. Sammy Farha, of course, cigarette in his mouth at all times. Farha took home $1.3 million for his second place finish. Time to check in on what our players weighed in with. Alex said Sammy Farha. Ben said Sammy Farha. Matt said Sammy Farha. That means all 3 of our contestants move on to our river tiebreaker. Let's see what that tiebreaker question is. Moneymaker defeated 838 other players in the 2003 main event. How many people entered the main event in 2004? Answers, please. I'll give you guys this much. The attendance increased from 2003 to 2004. But by how much? All right, our answers are in. Before we look at what our contestants weighed in with, let's take a look at the correct answer. That answer is 2,576. 3x growth, pretty impressive. Greg Raymer beat David Williams heads up to take that one down for $5 million. Let's see who is closest to that and who takes down our first pot of the day. We start in the small blind with Alex. Alex said, he said 2,576. I'm going to say that is a fairly decent guess. That is spot on. Going to be hard for Ben and Matt to compete with this. Let's still take a look at what they wagered in with. Ben said 2,369. Really solid guess. Matt said 2,478. Very solid guess, just 98 off the correct mark. But when somebody has the correct mark, that means that person will win the pot. So Alex Jacob already with a pretty sizable chip lead. He's up to 13,200 in chips. Ben with 8,400, Matt Berkey with 8,400. We reset, the button moves on to Alex. It's Ben in the small blind, Matt in the big blind. Let's take a look at our next topic. The topic is slot machines. We are hitting the slots for this one. Alex on the button, you lead off our betting. Before you do, how'd you know that one? 2004 main event. It's just that number sticks out in your mind? Or you've been studying?
I may have done a little pregame research.
It's what these game show guys do. I'm
you gotta
telling
prepare.
You gotta prepare. You were certainly well prepared. Go ahead and lead off our betting for this slot machines round. You can raise, call, or fold.
I'll call.
Going to make the call from the button. Ben in the small blind, raise, call, or fold?
Raise.
Ben is going to raise it up over to Matt Berkey in the big blind.
I'll call.
Matt will make the call back to Alex.
I'll call.
Alex will make the call as well. Let's go ahead and see our flop. A matching set of what number is commonly the highest payout on a slot machine? A matching set of what number is commonly the highest payout on a slot machine? Send in your answers, please. Now, the fruit symbols on many slot machine reels originally symbolized the flavor of gum you would win in the early days of slots. We don't see casinos passing out too much gum nowadays. All right, our answers are in. That means we move on to a betting round. And Ben, you will start that betting round. You're first to act. You can check or bet.
I need to keep up this tilt aggression, I bet.
He's already steamed up after losing the first hand. He's going to lead out on the Matt.
I call.
Matt will make the call. Alex
I'll call.
will make the call. Both Matt and Alex not necessarily wanting to inflate the size of the pot. Let's take a look at the correct answer. That answer is, of course, 7. 7, 7, 7. It's good for everybody who plays slots. Checking in on what our players had to say. Ben, you said 7. Matt, you said 7. Alex, you said 7. Everybody gets it right. Everybody moves on to the turn. Let's see what that turn question is. Old school slot machines got this nickname from the large mechanical lever on the side. Answers, please. Did you know the Brits call slot machines fruit machines? I didn't know that either, but needed something to fill in this dead time. Old school slot machines got this nickname from the large mechanical lever on the side. All right, our answers are in. We start this betting round once again with Ben in the small blind. Ben, you can check or bet.
Bet.
Ben is going to lead on the Mat. You can raise, call, or fold.
I fold.
Going to lay it down on the Alex on the button.
I'll call.
Alex is going to make the call. Before we see what Ben and Alex answered with, let's see the correct answer. That answer is one-arm bandits. Australians, by the way, call them poker machines or pokies, I guess because they have to come up with cute nicknames for everything. So who got this one right? Ben said one-arm bandit. That is correct. Matt, by the way, weighed in with Iron Horse, just throwing a guess out there, why not? And Alex also said one-arm bandit. That means both Ben and Alex move on to our river tiebreaker. Let's see what that tiebreaker question is. A 25-year-old software engineer from Los Angeles won the largest slot payout in history at the Excalibur in 2003. For how much money? Answers, please. Now, he sat down, he put a hundo into this machine. By the way, after he won the jackpot, he chose to remain anonymous, and I'm sure he's kicking himself now after being referenced on the big blind. How much did he win? Closest answer will win this hand. Will take down the 2,600 chip pot. Everyone in the tank. Oh, Ben goes with another style of glasses. Love it. Ben, you always keeping us on our toes. All right, our answers are in. Before we see with what our contestants weighed in with, let's take a look at the correct answer. That answer is $39.7 million. Now, Katrina Bookman from New York would hold the record for a 2016 jackpot of $42.9 million, but the Resorts World Casino in Queens maintained that the machine had malfunctioned. They offered her a free steak dinner instead. That's very, very fair. Who got closest to that 39.7 million mark? Let's look at Ben's answer first. Ben said 38 million, just 1.7 million off. That guess is going to be tough to beat. Alex weighed in with 13 million. So Ben Yu takes down hand number 2 of the day. It must have been the glasses. That gets Ben back to starting stack. Alex still in a comfortable position with 12,200 in chips. Matt Berkey, our shortest stack with 7,800. On to hand number 3. Ben has the button. Matt in the small blind. Alex in the big blind. Our topic is what it used to be called. I'll give you the name of a Las Vegas hotel casino. You give me the name of what it used to be called. Ben, you're on the button. You will lead off our betting. Raise, call, or fold.
Gotta play my rush. I raise.
Play the rush and raise it up. On to Matt in the small blind.
I call.
Matt makes the call. Alex in the big.
I'll call.
Alex will call as well. So 1,200 in the middle as we see our flop question. The Westgate. Answers, please. What did the Westgate used to be called? Barry Manilow is still there, by the way, through all the name changes. What an absolute legend. 1,200 in the middle. Our answers are in. Matt, since you're in the small blind, you will lead off this betting round. You can check or bet.
I'm going to check.
You will check it over to Alex.
I'll check.
Alex will check over to Ben on the button.
Bet.
Ben's going to fire off a bet. Matt Berkey.
I fold.
the side fold of sorts. Over to Alex.
I'll call.
Alex will make the call before we see what our players said. Let's see the correct answer. That answer is LVH, or Las Vegas Hilton, or Hilton. Let's see what our players weighed in with. We will start with Alex. Alex said Flamingo. That is incorrect. If Ben gets this, he wins the hand. Ben says Hilton, which we will accept. Ben, you on a little heater. He wins 2 hands in a row, and that will do it for our first level. Level 2, we raise the stakes. Coming up next. Back on the big blind, let's take a look at the chip counts for this first round matchup. It is Alex Jacob who holds the chip lead. It's a very slight chip lead at 11,600 in chips. Ben Yu right behind him with 11K. Matt Berkey at 7,400. Berkey losing chips, that is no surprise for a PokerGo studio event. If you've watched Poker After Dark throughout the years, you know that Mr. Berkey hasn't had the best track record. But there is still time as we approach level 2. And remember what is on the line. Not just a berth in the quarterfinals, but the wonderful How to Become a Game Show Contestant by the great Greg Montaigne. He's whatever his name is, he's a great author, and Greg Silverman. The foreword written by Alex Trebek, somebody Alex Jacob is very familiar with. Let's get to it. Level 2, the blinds are 200, 400. That means you can bet 400 on the flop, 800 on the turn. The button is back to Matt Berkey. Alex is in the small blind. Ben is in the big blind. Let's take a look at our topic. That topic is player nicknames. I'll give you a poker player. You chime in with the nickname that they are best known by. So again, Matt, on the button, you're leading off our betting. You can raise, call, or fold.
Yeah, let's gamble. I'm raising it up.
Gotta get the chips in. He's going to raise it up. On to Alex in the small blind.
I'll call.
Alex makes the call. Ben?
Call.
Ben makes the call as well. 3-handed to the flop. Let's take a look at that flop question. Greg Raymer. He is our first name. Answers, please. The 2004 World Series of Poker main event champion. A pretty important hand to start level 2, already 2,400 in the pot. All right, our answers are in this betting round. We'll of course start with Alex in the small blind. Alex, you can check or bet.
I'll check.
Alex will check. Over to Ben.
I'll check.
On to Matt on the button.
I'll bet.
Matt, of course, will fire on the button. Over to Alex.
I'll call.
Alex makes the call. Ben?
Call.
Ben calls as well. Let's take a look at the correct answer. Greg Raymer is... He's Fossil Man, of course. And he'll give you a signed fossil, by the way, if you bust him in a tournament. Let's take a look at the answers. Let's see what our players had. Alex said Fossil Man. That is correct. Ben said Fossil Man. That is correct. Matt Berkey said Fossil Man. And that is correct. Everybody gets it right. Everybody moves on to the turn. Let's see what that turn player name is. How about Lane Flack? Answers, please. What is the nickname for the legendary Lane Flack, who I sat next to at a WSOP event this summer? Sick brag that I play WSOP events. It was a charity tournament. Lane Flack. All right, our answers are in. Alex, you will once again start off this betting round. You can check or bet.
I'll bet.
Alex is going to lead out on to Ben.
Call.
Ben makes the call. Matt
I'll raise.
raises it up. This pot is getting juicy, folks. Over to Alex.
I'll call.
Alex calls. Ben.
Call.
Ben calls as well. Just a massive pot developing. Before we see what our players said, let's take a look at the correct answer. That answer is back-to-back. Lane back-to-back Flack, given the nickname after winning back-to-back Legends of Poker events in 1999. He won 2 bracelets within 2 weeks in 2002, won another 2 series bracelets within 1 week in 2003. Who got that one right? Let's see. We start with Alex. Alex said back-to-back Flack. Ben said back-to-back Flack. Matt said back-to-back Flack. 8,400 chips in the middle as we enter our river tiebreaker. How many World Series of Poker bracelets and World Poker Tour main event titles has the Grinder won combined? Answers, please. Bracelets and WPT main event titles for the Grinder, one of the best tournament players in the history of the game. Whoever is closest will win this pot of 8,400 in chips. And and will become our chip leader? Answers, please. All right, our answers are in. Before we see what our contestants weighed in with, let's take a look at the correct answer. And that answer would be 7. The grinder, of course, being Michael Mizrachi, 5 World Series of Poker bracelets, 2 World Poker Tour titles. Who was closest? We will start with Alex because he's in the small blind. And when we did this last time, he absolutely nailed it. When we're doing it this time, he's nailing it again because he said 7. Ben said 8. Matt said 8. Some very good guesses from Ben and Matt.
I almost said 8.
But it is not the correct
I was between 7.
I thought he
and
won
8.
3
Sorry.
WPTs.
guess. 5 bracelets, 2 WPT titles. Ben and Matt were close, but Alex nails it once again. And look at the chip lead that Alex has developed. 17,200 in chips. Ben with 8,200 in chips. Matt with 4,600 in chips. But everybody is still alive on the big blind. Alex has the button for this one. Ben in the small blind. Matt in the big blind. Let's take a look at our next topic. That topic is the Hangover, the 2009 classic set in Las Vegas. Alex, you are on the button. You lead off our betting. Raise, call, or fold.
I will call.
Alex makes the call. Over to Ben.
Call.
Ben calls. Matt, you can check or raise in the big blind.
We're gambling. Let's raise.
Yeah, we're getting some more chips in the middle. Alex.
Sure, I will call.
Sure, he'll call, whatever. Ben?
Call.
Only money.
Ben calls as well. Everybody in this hand as we take a look at our flop question. What Vegas hotel does the bachelor party stay at? Answers, please. Where does this group start their Vegas adventure after the drive from Los Angeles? 2,400 chips in the middle. All right, our answers are in. That leads us to the first betting round of this hand. We start with Ben in the small blind. Ben, you can check or bet.
Check.
Ben will check over to Berkey.
Bet.
Berkey's going to fire off 400. Alex on the button.
I'll call.
Alex makes the call. Ben?
Fold.
Ben will lay it down. Ben is folding. Matt and Alex are still in the hand. Let's take a look at the correct answer. That answer is Caesar's Palace. Still not determined if Caesar actually lived there. You see the look on Ben Yu's face. He was not thrilled because he did weigh in with Caesar's Palace, but unfortunately for him, he folded. Let's see what our other players said. Matt said Caesar's Palace. Alex said Caesar's Palace. They get it right. They move on to the turn without Ben Yu. Let us see that turn question. Zach Galifianakis' character Alan christens the crew with this nickname. Send in your answers. What did he want the 4 guys to go by? He let them know in an absolutely epic speech that included him, of course, awkwardly slicing his palm with a knife. Answers, please. 3,200 chips in the middle. Ben already out of the pot, a pot that Matt needs desperately. All right, our answers are in. Matt, you are first to act. You can check or bet.
I will bet.
Matt's going to lead out here on the turn, 4,800 over to Alex.
I'll call.
Alex will make the call. Let's see what the correct answer is. That answer is the Wolf Pack for Alan, Doug, Phil, and Stu. Who got this one? Matt said the Wolf Pack. That is correct. Alex also said the Wolf Pack. That is correct. They both get it right, and they both move on to our river tiebreaker with 4,800 chips in the middle. Let's see what that river tiebreaker is. How much money has the entire Hangover franchise grossed worldwide? Answers, please. 3 movies. How much have they made at the box office? As far as quality of movies go, first one just slightly better than the other 2. Just my opinion, of course. Maybe the opinion of many others as well. The first, the second, and the third. How much money did they bring in at the box office? This is a crucial pot. Who comes through in the clutch when the pressure is on? See Alex in the tank. All right, our answers are in. Before we see with what our players weighed in with, let's take a look at the correct answer. That answer is 1,416,200,000. I'm going to ask you guys how confident you feel in this one because I'll go ahead and spoil that your answers are fairly close to one another. Alex, how are you feeling about this one?
Okay. I feel okay.
I'm so mad. I had 1.5,
Oh,
but
no!
I thought Alex would be conservative, so I went higher.
Well, you might just be fine. Matt Berkey weighed in with 2.1 billion, a little bit more than 600 million off. Alex Jacob weighed in with 875 million, a little less than 600 million off. That means Alex Jacob takes down the second hand of the second level. He increases his chip lead to 20,000 in chips. Ben is in second with 7,400. He sat most of that hand out. Matt in third with 2,600. But the dream is still alive, Berkey. Remember, our top 2 finishers receive a spot in the quarterfinals. We move on to our third hand. Ben has the button. Matt in the small blind. Alex is in the big blind. Let's take a look at our topic. The World Series of Poker main event, the greatest poker tournament in the world. Unless, of course, you're listening to the Twitter haters who have issues with every tournament in the history of the world. Ben, you are on the button. You will lead off our betting. You can raise, call, or fold.
Fold.
Ben is going to lay it down on the button. Over to Matt in the small blind.
Can I be all in?
Not yet, but you're more than welcome to raise.
I raise.
Okay, that will be a raise from Matt in the small blind. Over to Alex.
I'll call.
Alex will make the call. Let's go ahead and see that flop. Who is Canada's only main event champion? Answers, please. Canada has one main event title. Almost had another this year with Alex Livingston finishing in third. All right, our answers are in. Another betting round. Matt, you are first to act. You can check or bet. 1,800 in chips is your stack.
I will bet.
You will bet. Over to Alex.
And I'm going to keep being boring and call.
Alex will just make the call. Let's see what the correct answer is. It's Jonathan Duhamel. He won the main in 2010 for almost $9 million. Let's check in on Matt's answer first. Matt said Jonathan Duhamel. Staying alive with that short stack. Alex said Jonathan Duhamel. Both of them get it right. Both of them move on to the turn. Let's see that turn question. Who has the highest lifetime earnings just from the World Series of Poker main event? Send in your answers. The highest lifetime earnings from playing that one tournament throughout the years. Can Berkey survive this hand? It's 1,400 in chips. Alex, our chip leader. Ben sitting this one out. All right, our answers are in. Matt, you are first to act. You can check or bet.
I hate myself. I check.
The hate check. Over to Alex. Alex, you can bet or check.
I'll bet.
Alex will bet here on the turn after the I hate myself comment from Matt Berkey.
I call.
Berkey is going to make the call, leaving himself 600 in chips behind. Let's see what the correct answer was. It was Jamie Gold, just one cash in the main in his career. It was a decent one, though. He won in 2006 for $12 million. Joe Cadda, by the way, close with his win in 2009 and fifth place finish in 2018. He has about $10.7 million from the main event. Who knew this one? Let's check in on Matt's answer. Matt said John Sin, a main event champion, but the incorrect answer. If Alex gets this right, he wins this hand. Alex said Jamie Gold. That is correct, and Alex has won this hand. That will do it for level 2. When we come back, you all will go against the house. All right, back here on the big blind, let's take a look at our players' chip counts. Alex, pretty massive chip lead, 22,000 in chips. Ben Yu has 7,400. Matt Berkey is the short stack with 600 in chips. And now it is time for Against the House. They're taking their stacks from the poker table, entering the pit, firing off against the casino. Remember, our massive first place prize for today's episode. I'm not just talking about a berth in the quarterfinals. I am talking about how to become a game show contestant, which we've already established that you guys really just don't need this at all. Now, while there's no prize for second at this point, second place finisher we'll also move on to our quarterfinals. Now, our players have the option to wager as much or as little of their stack as they so choose. After that wager is placed, they'll see a video featuring a hand from a tournament and a multiple choice question on what action will be next. So, gentlemen, please send in your wagers. Alex, you can wager up to 22,000. Ben, you can wager up to 7,400. Matt Berkey, you can wager up to 600 in chips. You never know. Here on the Big Blind. All right, there we go. Our wagers are in. Let's take a look at this hand from a 10K event at the 2018 US Poker Open.
65K to go. Chidwick flatting on the button with the ace-jack suited as we take the flop. Queen 5 trade 2 spades. Another player connects. Justin with a fairly quick check. Bonomo picking up the flush draw. Chidwick picking up the straight draw. Justin fires 135,000. Boy, that's a nice number to show ace jack the exit. Because as we've discussed in the past, it's not just about the call now. You have to face another street.
You do. It's definitely better to be in position though. You dictate the action a little more, so you should be a little more likely to call, or maybe a lot more likely to call, I should say, in position than out.
Steven makes that call, and if his hand was good on the turn, it's still good here on the river after the queen pairs.
Justin Bonomo against Steven Chidwick at the USPO. Bonomo reaching for chips on the bluff. How much does he bet though? 250K, 450K, or 600,000? Send in your answers, please. 475K in the pot. We saw Chidwick flat Bonomo's raise pre. Bonomo bet 135K on the turn. Chidwick made the call. Another queen on the river. How much does Bonomo fire here? 250K, 450K, or 600K? All right, our answers are in. Let's see how this hand plays out.
605.
Big bet there. 600,000 into 450.
Yeah, oversized by about 150% there.
Well, there it is, 600K on the river from Bonomo. The overbet gets the job done. Time to check out what our contestants said and how much they wager. We look at our shortest stack first. That would be Matt Berkey. Just shortest stack by a little bit though. He says 450K. That is incorrect. He wagered 600. He was all in, so he has 0 in chips to close out this game. Matt, did you have fun at least?
Yeah, it was a great time.
He seems so enthusiastic, so thrilled with his performance. Let's take a look at Ben Yu's answer next. Ben says 450,000. That is also incorrect, and he wagered 2,700 in chips. So Ben will finish this game with 4,700. So I would say normally that it all comes down to this. It really doesn't, unless for some reason Alex made just a massive wager. Let's see what his answer was first. He said 600K, so even if he did make a massive wager, he'd be totally fine. That is correct. He wagered 2,000. He finishes this game with 24,000 in chips, the overwhelming chip leader to close it out, and that means, Alex, you have won this episode of The Big Blind. Congratulations. I gotta ask, do you ever lose game shows?
Well, we don't. When that happens, we don't like to talk about that.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. Congratulations once again. That means Ben Yu is our second place finisher. Ben will move on to the next round, and Matt, once again, yeah, thank you for playing. That is all I got. But it is Alex who takes home the title for this episode. It is Alex who takes home how to become a game show contestant. Thank you once again to all of our contestants. Thank you so much to our crew, and thank you so much to you all for watching. I'm Jeff Platt. We will see you next time right here on The Big Blind.